Welcome to the sacred conclusion of the journey home. Here on Neo Insight, Michael Thomas, the warrior of pure intent, has defeated the final, most insidious enemy, the voice of unworthiness. He has claimed his golden chair and, with absolute confidence, has opened the door marked home. But what truly lies on the other side? The greatest spiritual journey of self-mastery does not always end the way the human expects. In this powerful final episode, Michael steps through the dimensional portal, only to be met with a shocking, yet profoundly sacred, truth. Watch now to witness the unexpected ending of the parable, the deep meaning of the 7 houses, and the beginning of Michael's one true mission on earth. Through the door to home. "Hold his head to the left, next to the tray," cried the nurse to the orderly. "He's vomiting." The emergency ward was crowded that night, as often takes place on a Friday. This time the full moon also complicated things. "Is he awake?" asked a neighbor who had accompanied Mike to the ward. The orderly bent down to closely examine Mike's eyes. "Yeah, he's coming out of it," the white-coated orderly replied. "When you can speak to him, don't let him up. He's got a nasty head bump with a few stitches. Don't want them pulled out of place." The orderly moved out of the cubicle, an area separated by a curtain on a semicircular rod, offering some privacy from many others just like it. Mike opened his eyes. He knew immediately where he was. He was back on Earth in the hospital where this had all begun. The fluorescent fixtures that bathed the emergency area in a bright, sterile light made Mike wince and close his eyes. The temperature in the room was cold, and Mike instantly felt the need for a blanket. The orderly returned with one, as though he had heard Mike's silent request. Then he left again. "You've been out for a while, buddy," said the neighbor, feeling a bit embarrassed that he didn't even know Mike's name. "This sewed up your head. Don't try to talk." The neighbor patted Mike's chest nervously and exited the curtained area to the waiting room. Mike was alone. His head was swimming with the reality of what had happened. This all had been a dream. The ugly, vile thing that he had defeated in the vision had been right all along. Mike had been on Earth the whole time, lying in a hospital in a daze, coma, and none of the wonderful things he had experienced had been real. Mike felt like he was going to vomit again, this time from the reality of the situation. He was back. Home was just a pipe dream, and the land of angels was exactly what the monster had said. So much fairy talk. None of it had happened, and Mike was still in the hospital. Nothing he had seen or had been taught had any substance or validity. He closed his eyes and wished for death. The head night nurse came into the cubicle and bent over Mike. He could smell her slight perfume over the other smells of the disinfectant around him. She examined the bandage on his forehead and touched him slightly. "Mr. Thomas, are you awake?" "Yes," said a weary and depressed Mike. "You can go now. We sutured and dressed your cut, and you're fine. It's okay to leave now." Mike knew something was different. "My jaw, my throat." "Nothing's wrong with them, Mr. Thomas. Was there a problem we missed?" Mike exercised his jaw and felt his neck as the concerned nurse watched. All seemed to be in good order. "No, I guess I just dreamed it." Mike was back to reality. He thought briefly about business. "Nurse, how long have I been here?" "About 3 hours, Mr. Thomas." The nurse smiled and was attentive. "And what about the bill?" Mike needed to know. "It's covered under some kind of policy your apartment has, sir. There are some papers to sign, but nothing to pay." "Thank you, Mississippi." The nurse left the cubicle, and Mike was again alone. Something didn't add up. Although it seemed like a couple of months ago, Mike vividly remembered that the thief had indeed crushed his throat in the struggle. All these injuries had happened before his vision, or dream, or whatever it had been. So nothing he dreamed could have changed that. Now, however, not only was there no damage to his throat, but none to his jaw either. Was this still another dream? No. Mike was overwhelmed with the pressure on his bladder. He had to go to the bathroom. This was back to basic Earth reality, the kind he was used to as a real human. Mike arose and ignored the ache in his head. He was still in his street clothes, he realized. As he went in search of the bathroom, he found it immediately. It was a small, one-person, generic hospital bathroom. reeking of disinfectant and extremely clean. He relieved himself. It seemed foreign, like something he had not done for months, and it seemed to go on and on and on. Mike was washing up when he caught a glimpse of himself in the mirror. Something was different about his face. He drew closer to the mirror, looked into his own eyes for a long time, and questioned what he was seeing. He was standing up straight and felt good. Perhaps the 3-hour rest in the hospital was exactly what he had needed. Mike slowly walked out of the treatment area and was greeted by his neighbor, who was there waiting for him. Mike saw him and shook his hand. "Thanks, mister." Mike was at a loss for a name. "Please call me Hal, Mr. Thomas." The neighbor was grateful to see Mike up and better. "Hal, have you been waiting all this time?" Mike was curious. "It was nothing, mister." Mike interrupted him. "Please call me Mike." "Okay, Mike. My car is just outside. Let's go home." Mike suddenly reacted to the word home and felt a stab in the pit of his stomach that reminded him how his dream had disappointed him so miserably. "Sounds good, Hal." Mike was genuinely appreciative. While Hal went for the car, Mike signed the necessary papers and went outside. On the way home, Mike questioned his neighbor about the incident. All seemed to be as he remembered, except the injuries. Did I imagine that? Mike wondered to himself. Mike thanked Hal again for his gracious hospitality and went into his apartment. He opened the door in the usual manner, snapped on a meager light, stepped inside, and closed the door. He was overcome with smells and sights that should have been very familiar to him, but were not. Although there was a mess to clean up and a stereo to put back, the fish tank had not been broken as he had remembered. Something was very wrong here. He felt as though he were visiting some poor person and helping to clean the guy's place. Mike stopped and looked around at everything. This place didn't belong to him. Why would he have ever thought so? Why was it so dark and dingy? 3 hours ago it was his, and now it seemed to belong to a guy from an entirely different world. What was happening? Mike realized that his consciousness did not match that of the man who used to live here. It somehow seemed odd and inappropriate for him to even think about sleeping here. Mike went to his top drawer and searched through his things. There, where he had left it, was a current credit card that he had never felt he would use. "It's too much money to pay for credit," he used to say. "I don't need nice things," he would say. Mike flipped it into his wallet, checked to see that he had at least a few dollars, and began gathering some belongings and toiletries. Finally, he snapped off the light and left the apartment. He knew he would have to come back to get his personal things and his fish, but he made a mental note to himself to give notice immediately. He then went to Hal's apartment and briefly told him what he was intending to do in case a police report would be needed later. The cab Mike hired took him to a better part of town, where he immediately checked into a fine hotel. He breathed a sigh of relief as he looked at the lush furnishings and the brightly lit and ornately decorated lobby area. This was more like it. He would look for another apartment in the morning, after he obtained the kind of new employment he deserved. Even as Mike crossed the lobby to find the elevators, heads turned in his direction. There was a positive presence about Mike, and he commanded attention. Was he someone special? A star, perhaps? Mike was lying on the bed of his hotel room when he began to wonder what had happened to him. He felt wonderful. He felt peaceful. He absolutely knew that he could find a great job tomorrow, in one day, even in Los Angeles, because he was very good at what he did. He could hardly wait to meet people and give of himself, perhaps even start a great career. Then it happened. He thought of Shirley, his lost love, and there was no pain. There was no stab of remorse over losing a precious relationship, or of feeling pathetic and needing to hide because of it. Mike actually made a face when he thought about the kind of person he had recently been. Ugh, what was I thinking that would cause me to behave in such a manner? She was only fulfilling her contract. I was as responsible as she was for the event. Good grief, what was he saying? But it was true. Mike did something that would have mortified him a few hours ago. He went to the phone and dialed the number he had known so well. It rang once, twice. Then a delightful feminine voice came on the line. "Hello, Shirley." Mike was elated to hear her voice. Mike, Shirley didn't seem pleased to hear his. "Listen, I just wanted to make sure that you were okay, and tell you that I really feel good about everything that happened. Mike, is this really you? You sound different. I just want to closure on our time together, and to tell you that I hope your life is really good. You deserve it, and I think you are really a great gal. Mike, this can't be you. It's me. You've got another girlfriend? No, Shirley. I really am serious. I just called to tell you that I'm okay, and that I wish you well in whatever you do in the future. We had a good time, and I hope you remember me in a good light. Mike, what's happened? Can't talk now, but maybe some other day. Goodbye. Mike, this is a joke, right? Mike hung up the phone with a feeling of wonderful serenity. He had closed that part of his life and was extremely glad to have put it away. The sound of her voice hadn't stirred up any negative feelings at all, only the peacefulness of completion and a sense of moving forward. Mike felt odd. Something was very different. He was doing things that were not like the old Mike. He felt the energy of the moment and was not worried about being in a hotel, spending $100 a night. He absolutely knew that his abundance would be able to cover the hotel charges from the income of his new employment, a job he didn't even have yet. This was not the old Mike. This was the current Mike who understood self-worth and the universal workings of things. Mike was beginning to feel like he had been reborn, and all the healthy feelings that accompany a man who is happy with himself were solidly in place. He felt chills going up his back, and somehow he knew what they meant. He went directly to the door of his room and opened it. There, with fist poised to knock, was his friend John. Hi, John. Mike hugged his friend. How did you know I was out here? John was perplexed. Intuition, I guess. Come on in. You're a hard guy to track. I heard about the break-in at your place and came right over after the night shift. Your neighbor told me you were here. Are you okay? Your head okay? And what's wrong with your apartment? What's the deal with the hotel and all? Mike held up his hands as if to stop the machine gun approach to the questioning and smiled at John. John, my head's fine, and I don't belong in that dump. I also don't belong in the job I have. You and I both know that. John was dumbfounded. He had been hoping that Mike would snap out of it eventually, but he wasn't expecting Superman overnight. Michael, what has happened? You are really different. I know. I can't tell you why, but I just know so much. And I feel good about everything, peaceful and energetic about life. John was absorbing it all and said very little. I would get you something refreshing to drink, but I just got here myself. Want to go to dinner downstairs? You mean in the restaurant? Yes, it's on me. Sure. John looked hard at Mike. Boy, have you changed. Both men exited the small hotel room together and ended up in the fine restaurant within the lobby of the hotel. There, John listened to Mike talk about everything except his dream. He spoke of closure with Shirley, his plans for a new job, and his outlook on life. Mike spoke eloquently about how truth always wins, and how forgiveness and integrity create peace in any life. The things that he had criticized before, he now spoke gently of, and allowed for differences in opinion. He spoke about the fact that a human didn't have to accept what was just handed to him, and that a person could create his own reality. John didn't say anything. He was transfixed. He let Mike go on, through a nice large dinner, then dessert, and then coffee. He felt like he was attending some kind of feel-good lecture, but it was affecting him. It all made perfect sense. Finally, he spoke while Mike's mouth was full. Mike, did you have a near-death experience or something like that? John was serious. The day before, Mike had been his old worthless self, ready to be homeless, mope around, and suffer willingly. No, John, I guess I had a near-life experience. Both men laughed with the release of tension. Although the situation was comical, Mike was also contemplating exactly what had happened. He wasn't ready yet to claim that his vision had been real, but he felt so good about life. John didn't want to say goodnight. He was benefiting by the energy around Mike and knew it. He was even convinced to search for a new job himself. Mike had convinced him that he was worth more, and John had agreed. He was invigorated by Mike's enthusiasm and the newfound positive personality. It was addictive, this positive attitude. And as for the high-minded thoughts, Well, he didn't know about those, but it certainly didn't hurt to listen. It made him feel like he was worth something. The two men said goodnight, and again Mike gave John a warm hug. John realized that Mike had never done that before, and now in one evening, he had done it twice. What was with this man? What a good friend to have. It seemed as though Mike were in a different world, or somehow still here, but full of peace and love for humanity in general. He was non-judgmental and happy. What a guy, what a difference. Mike went back to the hotel room and sat alone on the bed. Dare he believe for even a moment that his dream journey was real? If it had been real, then why was he back on Earth? Nothing seemed correct. Nothing seemed to be what it was supposed to be. What? Things are not what they seem. Mike was starting to feel a strange but familiar presence. His intuition was prodding him forward, and his body was speaking to him. Mike got up and went to a chair across the room. There, he did something that felt absolutely normal to him. He closed his eyes, held out his hands, and spoke out loud ceremoniously. In the name of Spirit, I ask that I should be shown what I need to know about this situation. I celebrate it, even though I do not understand it. Mike was silent, his eyes closed. Then, everything exploded in a burst of brilliant light. Mike was whisked through the portal of dimensionality into a place that had been prepared for him and him only. It was the inner sanctum of Michael Thomas's communication with Spirit, a place he would return to often in his meditations. He floated there in space, totally aware that he was again in his dream state. Only this state really wasn't a dream, was it? No, it isn't Michael Thomas. The voice of White. Did Mike dare open his eyes? He didn't want to break away from this place, for he knew that it was a dimension where he was only a visitor. He didn't want to be snapped back to the hotel room until he was ready. The voice of the great white angel continued. It's simply another state of altered reality. Which one is the most real to you now, Michael? White, Mike spoke out loud. Yes, Michael. It's so good to hear you. Mike was very excited. He almost shouted. White, it wasn't a dream. I knew it. It wasn't a dream, Michael. What happened? Why am I not in heaven? Was there a mistake? Mike felt so pleased to again speak with his spiritual friend. Open your eyes, Michael. We have company. Mike did as he was told, and gradually opened his eyes. The interdimensional portal remained stable, and Mike was not removed from his meditative state. He was floating in the lotus position in a space of incredible whiteness. It reminded Mike of the white place where he had originally met the great white angel of love. Below, but around him, were 7 entities taking form in a circle. As he watched, 7 hazy-colored groupings began to evolve. Each group was like a cloud of faint color, slowly filling itself out and gradually gaining form. He knew what was happening, and his heart jumped with joy. Below him, the 7 clouds of subtle hues intensified in color and eventually glowed brightly as their real brilliant selves. There was blue, orange, green, violet, red, white, and even gold. Evenly spaced, the small clouds gradually grew and became the solid angelic forms that he had met and spent time with seemingly only yesterday. Mike was overjoyed to see them. His friends were here. He was careful not to break the spiritual tether that still connected him to his humanness in the hotel room. Mike was again in 2 places at once. The 7 angelic entities in Mike's sanctuary remained for some moments, hands raised upward toward Mike in ceremony around the center. Mike celebrated with them. He felt an incredible feeling of sacredness around the circle and honored it by not speaking. It was the Golden One who spoke first. Michael Thomas of pure intent, we greet you. And I you, said a grateful and peaceful Mike. What is it you wish to know, Michael? The Golden One was almost laughing. He knew what Mike knew, and therefore knew that Mike was beside himself with the desire to understand what had gone wrong. Why was he on Earth again? It was White who spoke next, in answer to Mike's thought question. Perhaps you wish to review your original request, Michael? Mike didn't know what White meant, but he was quiet while the great angel continued. Like a tape recording, Mike was suddenly presented with the verbatim playback of another point in time, a time when Mike had earlier verbalized to White what he felt home was. Mike listened to his own voice with the others. I want to be loved and around love. I want to feel peaceful in my existence. I don't want concerns and trials from the interactions of those around me. I don't want to worry about money. I want to feel release. I'm tired of being alone. I want to mean something to other entities in the universe. I want to know that I exist for a reason and do my part, to be a correct and appropriate part of God's plan. I don't really want to be a human as I have been. I want to be like you. It was Mike's description of his expectations of home. These were the words he had used when the great white angel had asked him to define home. It was the voice of Blue who spoke next. Behold your life, Michael Thomas. You have the intuitive map that will allow a peaceful existence, since you understand the currentness of the way spirit works. Mike realized that Blue was right. He was not concerned about getting work tomorrow. He had his map, and it would help him navigate to the correct place. The voice of the orange angel came next, and the gifts and tools of your high vibration on the planet will keep you balanced and out of the drama of those around you if you choose. And in the process, you have the power to slay any negative thing that should ever try and get in your way. Mike knew Orange was telling the truth. Mike was not concerned at all about any former drama in his life. The Shirley incident was gone from his consciousness, as if it had never existed. The voice of Green followed. It was filled with humor and was unmistakable. Your biology will give you the release you need, Michael. It is now filled with wisdom and knowledge. Mike had never felt better, and he knew how to keep himself fit. Green's teachings had been paramount. It was now Violet's turn. Her voice was mellifluous and floated to Mike's ears. You are now part of God's plan, Michael, with purpose and responsibility. You create your own reality, and there never needs to be a moment of worry again. The family surrounds you. Mike knew she was right. He indeed would create his future without worry. He knew the family was there to support him, and he would always be in the right place at the right time. Red's voice spoke up. You will never again be a human as you were, Michael. You have been changed forever by your own intent. Right again. Mike could never retreat backwards. He was not the same man. His apartment belonged to an old, pitiful person, and even the clothes would have to be given away. Mike was new. Then, the spectacular voice of White sounded again. You are a correct and appropriate part of the plan of love, Michael. You are loved without measure, and you have the ability to give the same love to others. You have yet to realize the gift that is before you. What did that mean? Why was White always the one with the statement that created a question? And finally, the voice of the Golden One, so large and potent, so sacred, yet so soft. You wanted to be like an angel, Michael. What is it you learned in my house? You are a wonderful piece of God, walking the planet in a very high vibration. An angel in disguise, one of the few who even know it, and anointed of God. Indeed, Mike had asked to be like the angels, never knowing that he really was one. Suddenly, they seemed to speak as one, as they all presented a thought to Mike's ears simultaneously. This is home, Michael Thomas. You are here because you asked to be. It is the place where you belong and can make a difference for the planet. Each item you asked for is now in place. You are a warrior of the light. Like Mary, your human counterpart, you resound with the vibration of God. You have slain the giant, accepted the Golden One, and have the wisdom of the ages. There was more, and Michael Thomas knew it was coming. The angelic beings lost their form once again, and 7 small clouds of brilliant hue melded together into one vibrating area of brilliant diamond-like light. The iridescence and sparkle of the cloud was spectacular beyond words. The angels were having a meeting. Mike intuitively knew it. After some time, he again heard them speak as one. Michael Thomas, we give you a new entity designation today. As you walk the path, you are known as Michael Thomas of pure intent. You stand today as a graduate, a high-vibrating entity who is neither fully human or fully angelic. Instead, you are now Michael the Current. It represents the vibration of the now and is one of the highest compliments we can bestow. Mike thought this was very funny, but knew that the angels were serious in their honoring of his new vibration. The spectacular diamond cloud slowly became a diamond shape and seemed to rise up from below and flow over him, encompassing the entire space he was in with a diamond light. He was washed in love, and again felt overwhelmed by the presence of God. Each cell celebrated, and his biology responded with a welling up of feeling and appropriate thanks. The feeling permeated every pore of Mike's body, and he knew it was time to return to the hotel chair. The angels had one more message, and as Mike was again returned to his meditative chair, the words of their collective energies rang in his ears. Michael the Current, you are dearly loved. Mike sat for some time in the hotel chair, coming down off his high of meditative realization. Everything he had experienced in the houses of spiritual training was real. All the teachings were accurate and valid, and all the knowledge and power was still his. As he sat in that Los Angeles hotel room, he reeled at the concept and wondered how many others like him there were. Mike was exhausted. He almost fell asleep in the shower, but he finally made it to bed. He was too tired to think about what was next. He had to sleep, and he did very well. Mike was ready for life the next day. He went out on the balcony of the hotel and surveyed the area. There was no limit to what he could do. He would indeed make a difference wherever he walked. Mike knew that much was in store for him, and that he would have much to work out and learn about, especially how to integrate his new vibration while being around the older vibration of the other humans. He wasn't worried. He had the love and understanding wisdom of the ages within his soul. The angel inside him would take care of it, and he would always know what to do with every situation. The new job was even easier to get than Mike had thought. Big companies need good salespeople with integrity, and Mike exuded who he was with every word and step. He had purchased a new wardrobe and had set his goals high. He walked into the largest company that needed his expertise, past a sign that said no help needed. He had his job in minutes and left the building ready to hold yet another ceremony focusing on how humans can create their own reality. Mike had been preoccupied with the newness of who he was. The fact that this was home was finally starting to become part of his consciousness. His new job was secure, and he was beginning to look for a place to live. 3 days had passed, when in the shower one morning, a realization hit him like a ton of bricks. What had White said that Mike had not understood? Michael, you have yet to realize the gift that is before you. Michael's eyes filled with tears of understanding. The gift was the greatest one of all. It only could have been given to him as a human, and it had successfully hidden from him in all the spectacular events of the past days on Earth. It was profound in its implications, and Mike knelt while still in the bathroom and gave thanks for the truth of the revelation. He shook with the potential of it, and searched his memory for the information he needed. His heart pounded as he thought about what it all meant. We leave Michael Thomas at this point in the story. Michael has a quest. Because of his new intuitive tools and gifts, Michael knows that he is not complete. His map will guide him in the right direction, and his internal sword of truth will be his light in the darkness, a vibrating heart frequency that will sound the F note and sing his joy at the right time. Mike has a clear picture from a house of white etched into the tender cells of his heart and mind. Nothing will stop Michael the Current from finding a sacred gift that is waiting for him in the sea of humanity around him. His smile is as big as any human being can muster in the absolute knowledge that his quest will be successfully completed. All he has to do is begin it. Mike realized that he had been given the gift of a second chance to find a precious one, the love of his life, a contract so potent that it would be like a magnet for them both, unable to continue apart on the same planet. Mike is in search of a beautiful red-haired woman with skin like ivory and eyes like emeralds. He doesn't know her Earth name, but it doesn't matter. The energy of Anolee will be like a beacon in the darkness to his soul. He thought of the unborn children, and it fanned his resolve to find this flower of his life. There was electricity in the air that crackled with the energy of spiritual purpose and love, ready to be fulfilled and kept precious. The smell of victory was aromatic. The only scheduled rose in Mike's life was about to be found, admired, and loved for its beauty. Its fragrance would be appreciated for a lifetime, held and adored for its perfect beauty and natural elegance. She was out there somewhere, and Mike was going to find her. The angels smiled and knew that Michael would achieve his goal. Michael Thomas indeed was home. Within the pages of this tale of Michael Thomas and the Seven Angels, there are many hidden metaphors and New Age spiritual truths. From the number of chapters to the numerology of the spiritual names, there are many more lessons to be gleaned for those who wish to find them. The colors also have known energies, and they give further insight into what is actually being presented, far more than the text would have you believe. Here are some study questions that might be fun to pose within a group. 1. What was the real message behind the strange map given to Michael Thomas in the Blue House? How can you apply it to everyday life? 2. What was meant by the rotting food on the road? What is the food of spirit, and why can't it exist beyond the plate it is served on? 3. Why didn't any of the angels argue with Michael or make him behave when they knew he was headed for trouble? 4. Where is the real lesson behind the WE of our biology? 5. Does the vibrational increase for a human really create a challenge? Where else have you seen this fact given? 6. Why were the old energy weapons of Michael Thomas needed in a spiritual venue? Why did they call him a warrior of the light? Isn't that an old energy concept? 7. Who really was IT? What is the dark side? I have a confession. The true metaphysical attribute that this story represents is never mentioned in this book. It is one word that does not exist in the text. Can you guess it? Finally, a fun thing. Take a good look at the cover of this book. 1. Who is really with Michael Thomas? 2. Who is actually wearing the wings? As you close this book, ask yourself, am I home like Michael Thomas? It is my great wish that each of you finds this place. Lee Carroll. P.S. This book was written in hotel rooms all over the United States and Canada. My thanks to the energies of Chicago, Washington, D.C., Mesa, Arizona, Houston, Gainesville and Orlando, Florida, Indianapolis, Montreal, Milwaukee, Seattle, Atlanta, Tucson, and Kansas City, and all the states I flew over while writing on my trusty laptop on the airplane. Michael Thomas awoke, not in a golden sanctuary, but back on Earth, back in the hospital where his journey began. His vomit on the floor was the final physical release, the cleansing of all the old fear and doubt that humanity carries. The spiritual journey was never about leaving Earth. It was about preparation for the mission. Michael Thomas is home. Home is not a place. Home is a vibrational state of mastery achieved within your own heart, ready to be utilized right here on Earth. His true mission, to use his integrated consciousness to find Anolee, the love of his life, and complete his contract with humanity. The journey was a metaphor for your own awakening. Michael Thomas's journey home was a blueprint for your mastery asterisk. Asterisk, he shed the old ways, baggage. Asterisk, he claimed his sovereignty, new gear. Asterisk, he transformed his biology, House of Green. Asterisk, he defeated doubt, House of Violet. Asterisk, he mastered the physics of love, House of Red. Asterisk, he made the ultimate sacrifice, House of White. Asterisk, he declared his own worthiness, House of Gold. The path of the spiritual master is not about struggling or waiting for an external savior. It is about standing in your power and fulfilling your contract now. A special tribute to Lee Carroll and Kryon. Before we close this legendary parable, we extend our deepest gratitude to Lee Carroll. Thank you, Lee, for serving as the channel for Kryon and for gifting the world with this profound work, The Journey Home. Your dedication illuminated the path for millions, enabling a global shift in consciousness. We are honored to play our part in sharing this wisdom, ensuring that every soul is guided toward their own light, fulfillment, and divine purpose. Asterisk Resalot asterisk. The journey continues with Neo Insight. We are here to be the light and the guide on your path to growth, spiritual perfection, and fulfilling your ultimate purpose. If the story of Michael Thomas resonated with your soul, Keycap 1 subscribe to Neo Insight. Let us be your steadfast guide on the path of mastery. Keycap 2 share this final episode. Help another soul realize that they too are home. Keycap 3 leave a comment. Let us know. What is your sacred mission? Thank you for joining us on this legendary journey. The Master is ready. The time is now.